Well, political analyst and historian Helena Malikyar joins us now live from New Delhi. First off, we've just in the past half hour or so, President Ashraf Ghani tweeting that he's been speaking on the phone to US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Ghani says he's been given assurances. What's your take on that?
Yes, hello. Yes, on the one hand, today there was a meeting in Moscow of some of the Afghan politicians, mostly of opposition, with a number of the Taliban representatives. And on the other hand, President Ashraf Ghani in Kabul is working on the peace process through the government of Afghanistan. Mr. Pompeo, I think, has assured the Afghan government that, first of all, the Afghan government is not going to be excluded from any peace negotiation and final peace settlement. But at the same time, we saw today that the US Senate had quite a strong reaction against the US disengagement from Afghanistan at this point in time, and they found it to be imprudent to withdraw from Afghanistan. But meanwhile, the peace process has to go on. The important thing is that it has to be led, if it is a serious peace process, it has to be led by the government of Afghanistan. It's an elected government, and it represents the state of Afghanistan. And any effort to make deals with scattered opposition leaders in Afghanistan is not going to end in a lasting peace.
No surprise the Afghan government is opposing these Russian-backed talks with the Taliban. I mean, it's not there. Of course, it's not going to support it. What do you see as the Russian motivation for these talks in Moscow? What does Russia want out of it? I
think Russia, most of all, it has to do with their relationship with the United States, but also with a regional situation and wanting to be a regional leader. And Russia continues to think of itself as sort of the godfather of Central Asian states. And at the same time, they have been very close to Taliban in the recent years, and it is also said that they were arming and supporting groups of Taliban against ISIS that has become active in Afghanistan, and looking out for their own interest and a foot in the future of Afghanistan in some way.
What do you think is the likelihood of peace? I'm thinking more from an ideological level. I mean, you have these very young millennial Taliban fighters, for many of whom the idea of peace has always been seen as sort of a foreign conspiracy. How likely is it that the idea of peace, that these two sides could come together and find a solution, could actually trickle down to, the people on the ground? As far as the people in Afghanistan are concerned, everybody is sick and tired of war and of the bloodshed. We have had a lot of casualties, especially since 2015. And I imagine among the Taliban fighters, there is the same kind of a fatigue and hope for an eventual settlement and end to the war. But at the same time, both sides have to very carefully take steps to ensure that the peace is a lasting peace, and not just an agreement for a short while, just so that the U.S. troops get out of the country, and then the country turn into another chaos like the early 1990s. Where regional powers started backing their proxy groups in Afghanistan, and there was bloodshed and chaos for many years to come. And in fact, that was one of the main reasons why the Taliban came to power, to put an end to that kind of internal war in the first place. But at this point, what the Taliban are asking so far are things that are unacceptable to the majority of the people in Afghanistan. They want a total change of the current system, the system that came about after the fall of the Taliban at the end of 2001. They called today in Moscow, in fact, the constitution of Afghanistan illegitimate and invalid, because they said that it was ratified under an illegitimate government. And funny enough, Mr. Karzai, who was the person who ratified that constitution, was sitting across the table from them. This is, people see that as an insult because they think that the majority of the people in Afghanistan are Muslims, and they have lived under a Muslim system, and the constitution is based on Islam. And for anyone to come and say that this constitution is un-Islamic and the system is un-Islamic is not taken well by the people of Afghanistan.
Absolutely. There's still a long way to go between the two sides. Thank you for that. That is analyst and historian Helena Malikyar.